My name is Mia. I grew up in an orphanage. I was always alone. Today, a woman called me. She said, I am sorry, but it is too late. My life started in a small white room. That is my first memory. The room had a small bed. The walls were empty. There was one window. From the window, I could see a big tree. The tree was my friend. I watched it every day. In the summer, its leaves were green. In the winter, its branches were bare. The tree was always there. It never left me. The orphanage was called Sunny Meadows. It was not a sunny place for me. It was a big building with many rooms. Many children lived there. They had names. They had faces. But I did not feel close to them. I felt like a small boat in a big ocean. I was floating. I was alone. The other children played together. They ran in the yard. They laughed and shouted. I watched them from my window. Sometimes, a family came to Sunny Meadows. They would look at the children. They would smile. They would choose one child to take home. The child would pack a small bag. They would wave goodbye. Everyone would be happy for them. I always hoped a family would choose me. I waited by the door. I smiled my best smile. But no one ever chose me. Mrs. Gable was one of the caretakers. She was kind. She had soft, warm hands. She would bring me books. The books had pictures of families, a mother, a father, and a small child. They lived in a nice house. They ate dinner together. They smiled a lot. I looked at the pictures for hours. I wanted to be the child in the book. I wanted a mother with a kind smile. I wanted a father who would lift me up high. When I was little, I would ask Mrs. Gable about my mother. Where is she? I would ask. Mrs. Gable would sit on my bed. She would hold my hand. Her hand was always warm. She would say, I don't know, Mia, but she loved you very much. I did not believe her. How could she love me? She left me. She left me in this big, lonely place. Love does not leave. Love stays, like my tree outside the window. Years passed. The seasons changed. The tree grew taller. I grew taller too. I stopped waiting by the door. I stopped looking at the families who came. I learned to be alone. I learned to like being alone. Being alone was safe. No one could leave me if I was already alone. I had one friend. His name was Leo. He came to the orphanage when he was 7. I was 6. He had bright red hair. He had many freckles on his nose. He was not quiet like me. He was loud. He was funny. He did not like being alone. He would find me in the library. The library was my favorite place. It was quiet. The books were my friends. They told me stories about faraway lands. They told me stories about magic and adventure. Leo would sit next to me. He would not talk. He would just sit. It was a comfortable silence. With Leo, I was not so alone. We were 2 small boats in the same big ocean. We floated together. When I turned 18, I had to leave Sunny Meadows. It was the rule. I was an adult now. I was scared. The orphanage was my only home. I did not know the world outside. Mrs. Gable gave me a small bag. It had some clothes. It had a little money. She hugged me for a long time. "You are a strong girl, Mia," she said. "You will be okay." I found a small apartment in the city. It was just one room. It had a small kitchen and a bed. It had one window. From my window, I could see other buildings. There were no trees. I missed my tree. I found a job at a small cafe. I served coffee to people. The people were always busy. They talked on their phones. They typed on their computers. They did not see me. I was just the girl who brought them coffee. I liked it that way. It was safe. Leo also left the orphanage. He found a job as a mechanic. He loved cars. He was good with his hands. We met every Sunday. We would walk in the park. We would talk about our week. He was my family. He was the only family I knew. My life was simple. It was quiet. I worked. I read my books. I met Leo on Sundays. I was not happy, but I was not sad. I was okay. I was surviving. Then today happened. The phone rang. I was at my apartment. I was making tea. I do not get many calls. I thought it was Leo. I answered the phone. "Hello," I said. A woman's voice answered. It was a soft voice. It was a voice I did not know. "Is this Mia?" she asked. "Yes," I said. There was a long silence. I could hear her breathing. She sounded nervous. "My name is Sarah," she said finally. I think I am your mother." The world stopped. The teacup in my hand felt very heavy. Mother. The word was strange on my tongue. I had said it so many times in my head. I had dreamed of this moment. I had imagined a beautiful woman with a kind smile. She would hug me. She would say, "I am here now. I will never leave you." But this was just a voice on the phone. A stranger. "My mother?" I asked. My own voice sounded small. "Yes," she said. She started to cry. The sound was quiet. "I am so sorry, Mia. I am so sorry." Sorry. The word hit me like a stone. Sorry for what? Sorry for leaving me. Sorry for the lonely nights. Sorry for the years of waiting. Sorry for making me feel like I was not wanted. I felt a fire in my chest. It was hot. It was anger. "Why are you calling me?" I asked. My voice was cold. "I wanted to find you," she said. "I have been looking for you for a long time. I need to see you. I need to explain." "Explain," I said. "It has been 22 years. What is there to explain?" "Please, Mia," she begged. "Just let me see you. Please." I could not breathe. My heart was beating too fast. This was my dream. This was my nightmare. It was happening at the same time. "It is too late," I said. The words came out before I could stop them. "It is too late." I hung up the phone. I stood in my small kitchen. The tea was cold now. I looked at my hands. They were shaking. My mother, she had a name. Sarah. She had a voice. A soft, crying voice. I thought I would feel happy. I thought I would cry with joy. But I felt nothing. Just a big, empty space inside me. the space that had been there my whole life. I thought she could fill it, but her voice only made it bigger. I called Leo. He answered on the first ring. "Mia, what's wrong?" he asked. He always knew when something was wrong. "She called me," I said. I could not say the word mother. "The woman, she called me." Leo was silent for a moment. "What did she say?" he asked. "She said she was sorry," I said. I laughed. It was a strange, empty laugh. "She wants to see me." "What are you going to do?" Leo asked. "I don't know," I said. I told her it was too late. "Is it?" he asked gently. I did not have an answer. The next few days were a blur. I went to work. I served coffee. I smiled at the customers, but I was not there. I was in my head. I was back in the orphanage. I was a small girl waiting by the window. I remembered one day. It was my birthday. I turned 7. Mrs. Gable gave me a small cupcake with a single candle. She sang "Happy Birthday." The other children were playing outside. I was alone with my cupcake. I closed my eyes. I made a wish. I wish my mother would come for me. I blew out the candle, but she never came. Now she was here. She was a voice on the phone. She had a name. Sarah. A week later, a letter arrived. It was for me. The handwriting was neat and careful. I knew who it was from before I opened it. The letter was long. She told me her story. She was very young when she had me. She was only 16. She was scared. She was alone. Her family did not help her. The boy's family did not help her. She had no money. She had no home. She wrote about the day she left me at Sunny Meadows. She said it was the hardest day of her life. She wrapped me in a blue blanket. She kissed my forehead. She cried all the way back to the city. She said she never stopped thinking about me, not for one day. She wrote about her life. It was hard. She worked 2 jobs. She went to school at night. She saved money. She wanted to build a good life, a life she could give me. But when she came back to the orphanage, they told her I was gone. Someone had adopted me. That is what they told her. They made a mistake, or maybe they lied. She did not know. She said she spent years looking for me. She hired people. She searched records. She never gave up. A few weeks ago, she finally found me. At the end of the letter, she wrote, "I know I cannot change the past. I know sorry is not enough. But please, Mia, let me see you. I just want to see my daughter's face." I read the letter again and again. I sat on my bed, holding the thin pieces of paper. Her words were like rain on a dry ground. I wanted to believe them. A part of me, the small girl inside, wanted to run to her. But the other part of me, the part that learned to survive alone, was scared. What if she was lying? What if she would hurt me again? Leaving is a kind of hurt that never goes away. It leaves a scar. My scar was very deep. I showed the letter to Leo. We were at the park. It was Sunday. The sun was shining. Children were playing. For a moment, it felt like we were back at the orphanage, watching the other children. Leo read the letter carefully. He did not say anything for a long time. He just looked at me. His eyes were kind. "She was just a kid, Mia," he said softly. 16. That's so young. "I was a kid too," I said. "I was a baby." "I know," he said. He took my hand. His hand was not soft like Mrs. Gable's. It was rough from his work with cars. But it was warm. It was real. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But maybe you should hear her story. From her, not just from a letter. I thought about his words. Maybe he was right. I needed to see her face. I needed to look in her eyes. I needed to know if she was telling the truth. I wrote her back. My letter was very short. I gave her the address of the cafe where I worked. I told her she could come on Tuesday at 3 p.m. The next few days were the longest of my life. I could not eat. I could not sleep. My mind was full of questions. What did she look like? Did she look like me? What would I say to her? What would she say to me? I was so nervous. I was terrified. But I was also a little bit excited. The small girl with the birthday wish was still inside me. She was still hoping. Tuesday came. I went to work. The cafe was busy. I poured coffee. I cleaned tables. I tried to act normal, but my hands were shaking. Every time the door opened, my heart jumped. At exactly 3 p.m., the door opened again. A woman walked in. She looked around the cafe. Her eyes found me. Our eyes met. I knew it was her. She was not beautiful like in my dreams. She was an ordinary woman. She had brown hair with some gray in it. She had kind eyes, but they were sad eyes. She was wearing a simple blue dress. She looked nervous. She looked just as scared as I was. She walked to my table. I was standing there, holding a cloth. I could not move. "Mia?" she asked. Her voice was the same as on the phone, soft and shaky. I just nodded. She looked at me for a long time, her eyes filled with tears. You look just like your grandmother," she whispered. A tear rolled down her cheek. She did not wipe it away. I did not know what to say. I just stood there. The world was moving around us. People were talking and laughing. But for us, time stopped. "Can we sit?" she asked. I nodded again. I led her to a small table in the corner. It was quiet there. I sat down opposite her. I felt like I was in a movie. This did not feel real. We sat in silence for a long time. I looked at her hands. They were twisting a small napkin. She was nervous. "Thank you for meeting me," she said finally. "Why are you here?" I asked. My voice was quiet, but it was strong. I was surprised by my own strength. She took a deep breath. "To tell you I am sorry," she said, "and to explain. I know the letter, but I wanted to tell you myself." She started to talk. She told me the same story from the letter, but hearing it from her was different. I could see the pain in her eyes. I could hear the regret in her voice. She told me about her life, how she finished school, how she got a good job. She was a teacher now. She taught little children. I thought about that. She was a mother to other children, but she was not a mother to me. The thought hurt. She told me she never married. She never had other children. I could not, she said, her voice breaking. My heart was always with you. I always felt like a piece of me was missing. She reached into her bag. She pulled out a small, worn photograph. It was a picture of a baby. The baby was wrapped in a blue blanket. This is you, she said. It's the only picture I have. I looked at the picture. The baby had big, curious eyes. It was me. The blue blanket. It was the same one Mrs. Gable had given me when I left the orphanage. She said it was the blanket I was found in. I still had it. It was in a box under my bed. Something inside me shifted. A small wall around my heart began to crack. She was telling the truth. We talked for 2 hours. She asked me about my life. I told her about the orphanage. I told her about Mrs. Gable. I told her about Leo. I told her about my small apartment and my job at the cafe. I did not tell her about the lonely nights. I did not tell her about the birthdays. I did not tell her about the pain. It was too soon for that. When it was time for her to go, we stood outside the cafe. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink. "Can I see you again?" she asked. Her voice was hopeful. I looked at her. I saw a woman who made a mistake. A big mistake. But I also saw a woman who had suffered. She had lived with her mistake every single day. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I need time to think." She nodded. She understood. Can I hug you?" she asked. She looked so small, so vulnerable. I hesitated. A hug felt too close, too much. But then I saw the look in her eyes. The same look I used to have when I was a little girl, waiting for a family. It was a look of hope. I took a small step forward. I let her put her arms around me. Her hug was awkward at first. We were strangers. But then, for a moment, it felt right. She felt warm. She smelled like soap and rain. She felt like a mother. I did not hug her back. I just stood there. But I did not pull away. She let go. There were more tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Mia," she whispered. "Thank you for this." She turned and walked away. I watched her until she was gone. I went back to my apartment. I felt tired, so tired. It was an emotional day. My mind and my heart were full. I took out the box from under my bed. I opened it. Inside was the blue blanket. It was old and faded, but it was soft. I held it in my hands. I thought about the baby in the photograph. I thought about the 16-year-old girl who was so scared and alone. That night, I did not dream of a beautiful mother with a kind smile. I dreamed of a real woman with sad eyes and a broken heart. The next Sunday, I told Leo everything. We sat on our usual bench in the park. "So, what are you going to do?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "A part of me is still so angry. She left me. Nothing can change that. But another part of me feels sorry for her." "You can feel both," Leo said. It's okay to be angry and sad at the same time. He was right. My feelings were a tangled mess. For my whole life, my story was simple. I was a girl who was abandoned. I did not have a mother. Now, my story was complicated. I had a mother. Her name was Sarah. She was a teacher. She loved me, but she left me. A few days later, Sarah sent me a text message. It was a simple message. Thinking of you. I hope you have a good day. I did not reply. She sent another message a few days after that. It was a picture of a flower from her garden. This made me think of you, she wrote. I still did not reply. I was not ready. I did not know what to say. Thank you. I am still angry. I miss you. None of the words felt right. But I did not delete her messages. I kept them. I would read them at night. They were a small connection, a thin thread between two strangers who were supposed to be family. 1 month passed, then 2. She continued to send me messages. Not every day, just once or twice a week. She never asked to see me. She never pushed. She just let me know she was there. One Sunday, Leo and I were walking in the park. We saw a family having a picnic. A mother and a father were playing with their young daughter. The little girl was laughing. The sound was pure joy. I felt a familiar ache in my chest. The feeling of being on the outside, looking in. Leo saw me looking. It's not too late, you know, he said softly. What do you mean? I asked. For that, he said, nodding towards the family. Maybe your story won't look like that. Maybe it will be different. But it doesn't mean it can't be good. It's your story, Mia. You get to write the ending. His words stayed with me. My story. I get to write the ending. For my whole life, I let other people write my story. The people who left me. The people at the orphanage. The world. They all told me who I was. The orphan. The lonely girl. But maybe I could be something else. That evening, I did something brave. I took out my phone. I found her number. I pressed the call button. She answered immediately. Mia, she said. She sounded surprised and happy. Hi, I said. My voice was small. Hi, she said back. It's so good to hear your voice. We were both silent for a moment. It was not an awkward silence this time. It was a waiting silence. I was thinking, I said, my heart beating fast. Maybe we could get coffee sometime. Next week. I could hear her take a sharp breath. Yes, she said. Her voice was thick with emotion. Yes, I would love that very much. We made a plan. We would meet at a different cafe. A new place. A fresh start. After I hung up, I felt a strange feeling. It was not happiness. Not yet. But it was not emptiness either. It was hope. A small, fragile seed of hope. The next week, I met Sarah for coffee. We talked for hours. I told her more about my life. I told her about my dreams. I wanted to open a small bookstore one day. A place where people could feel safe and quiet, like I did in the orphanage library. She told me more about her life. She told me funny stories about the children she taught. She listened when I talked. She really listened. It was not perfect. There were difficult moments. I asked her hard questions. Why didn't she try harder to find me sooner? Why did she believe the orphanage so easily? She answered them all honestly. She did not make excuses. She said she was young and naive. She said she was scared. She admitted her mistakes. I can't change what I did, Mia, she said, her eyes full of tears. But I can spend the rest of my life trying to make it right. We started meeting every week for coffee. It became our routine. We learned about each other. I learned that she liked the color green. I learned that she was a terrible cook. I learned that she loved old movies, just like me. She learned that I was quiet, but I was strong. She learned that I loved books more than people sometimes. She learned that my favorite flower was a daisy. One day, she brought me a small pot with a daisy plant in it. For your window, she said. I took it home. I put it on my windowsill. It was the first living thing in my apartment. I watered it every day. I watched it grow. It was slow. Building a relationship with her was slow. It was like watching the daisy grow. It needed time. It needed patience. It needed sunlight and water. There were days when I felt angry again. The scar was still there. Sometimes it would hurt. I would remember the little girl at the window, and I would want to push Sarah away. But then I would remember Leo's words. It's your story, Mia. You get to write the ending. I did not call her Mom. The word still felt too big, too heavy. I called her Sarah. She understood. She never pushed. One day, we were walking in the park. It was the same park where I always went with Leo. We were quiet for a while. I am proud of you, Mia, she said suddenly. I looked at her. For what? For the woman you have become, she said. You are kind. You are strong. You are smart. You did that all by yourself. Tears came to my eyes. No one had ever said that to me before. I always felt like I was just surviving. But she saw more. She saw a strong woman. In that moment, something inside me healed a little bit. The empty space felt a little smaller. My life is different now. It is not the simple, quiet life I had before. It is more complicated. It is more emotional. But it is also more full. I still work at the cafe, but I am saving money. I am making plans for my bookstore. Leo is helping me. He is building the shelves. I still see Sarah every week. Our relationship is not a storybook relationship. We cannot get back the lost years, but we are building something new. Something that is ours. Sometimes I look at the daisy on my windowsill. It has many flowers now. It is beautiful. It is strong. It grew in a small pot, in a small apartment. But it grew. I found my real mother. She said she was sorry. At first, I thought it was too late. I thought the damage was done. The story was already written. But I was wrong. It is never too late to start a new chapter. It is never too late to grow. My name is Mia. I grew up in an orphanage. For a long time, I was alone. But I am not alone anymore. My story is not about being abandoned. My story is about finding my way back. It is about finding family in unexpected places. And most importantly, it is about finding myself. It is okay to feel lost. It is okay to feel scared. Your past does not have to be your future. You are strong. You can write your own story. You can do this too.